Right. We'll call the meeting to order, folks. And Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice shoes, Tom.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Boff.
Here.
Councilmember Stimmel.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Councilmember Strobehn.
Here.
Councilmember Cerveny.
Here.
And Mayor Thornton.
Absent and excused. Takes us to the consent agenda. If there are no requests for any items to be removed, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. All right. Takes us to citizens' public comment. Mr. Wood, I have you down.
All right.
Come on up.
I'm Arlen Wood, and I live at 1027 West A Avenue, which is just south of the Gordon Crest subdivision. And I was here, not last council meeting, but the one before, about building heights. The Center's Municipal Code says the height should not be over 35 feet from the lowest finished grade level to the highest point on the roof. And that's Municipal Code 18.130.070 height requirements, or height regulations. I've lived in my house for 45 years now. I'm a senator, and I noticed last session we had there's going to be a lot of subdivisions coming in the center, and I think we should be following the Center's municipal codes. When I talked to the Public Works Department, they had another way of measuring, and they said they had to wait until the ground was graded out. And I don't really think we need to do that, because you can see their air vents in their the bottom of the foundation. Right now, I looked at it, and it's a little over 47 feet, this house that they're building. So I really do not understand why we're not giving them a stop work order and finding out how they're going to accomplish this 35 feet.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Melinda Masna, and I'm just here with the Lions and going to let everybody know about the breakfast, the pancake breakfast, and the Easter egg hunt for April 11th. April 11th. Breakfast will begin at 8:00 a.m. and then the Easter egg hunt at 10. And we're going to actually do some bingo in between breakfast and the Easter egg hunt, so that the families have a little bit of something else to do while they're waiting for the Easter egg hunt to start. And it'll be at Holly Park. And so hope to see everybody.
And you have activities this Saturday as well.
Yes, we do. The high school, the senior parents are having an auction, their annual senior auction. And they changed a few things, and I'm not involved in it, so I'm trying to remember. During the day, they're doing kind of a progressive auction through town, through a couple of the businesses in town, from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And then dinner will be at 6:30 at the high school, and the auction will go on from 6:30 till whenever it's over. It's a lot of fun. They'll have some entertainment this year. And thank you to the businesses who stepped up and are part of it this year with opening their businesses to having items in there. And people can go through each business and bid on the different items. So, and this is for the senior auction for all the seniors for their senior trip. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
I just have, Laura Martin, 901 East 7th Street. I just have a question for the people that come in and make comments or have questions about things going on. We never receive phone calls back or any kind of answers. It's kind of like it stops here. And so I was just wondering what the process is for follow-ups and concerns that citizens have. Why do we never get anything back? Is that something that you guys can answer here?
Generally, the topic is referred to staff, and then they investigate it and get back to the individuals that have brought questions before us. So that's my understanding, and I see some head nodding going on. And if you have not been replied to, then I guess contact us again, and we can do our best to follow up on whatever the topic was that was not addressed.
Okay, I guess the like an example I would have that would probably be the easiest is about the citizens' public comment being moved in front of everything. So if we have any kind of comments that after you guys have your comments or after any of the staff reports, we can't ask any questions because it's before that. And I've asked that about, I think this is my 5th time, and I have not still had a response on that.
My understanding of the reason it was moved was so that the individuals that come and make comments do not have to sit through the entire meeting. They can leave. And, I'm sure we can follow up on the flow of things and perhaps investigate how we can better address other questions that arise.
Okay, yeah, because I appreciate that, because like I said, this is the first time that I've gotten a response from you about just the answer of why it got moved up and why we can't talk about anything after that. So that was just my quick comment.
Yeah, it's never a matter of not being able to talk. It's probably just a presumption that that's the way it was structured, but that wasn't the intent.
Yeah, so that's why I was just wondering, how we make comments after, if we have questions on staff reports or anything like that.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any others? No, thank you for bringing those forward. Now we are at the council and staff reports and announcements. And under mayor's report, I don't have anything to share with you from the mayor. So we will begin with Councilman Boff.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Last night was C-Trans March meeting of the Board of Directors. A number of topics were covered, as is usually the case. So I'd like to briefly tell you what we covered last night. Mill Plain bus rapid transit. This will be a regular topic as we move ahead. The design phase is nearly 60% complete. And last night, the board authorized CEO Sean Donahue to execute a contract with a construction management firm to move ahead on the project. 3 proposals were received, and one comment was made that when the 4th Plain BRT was going through this process, C-Tran did not hire a construction manager until they got to the 90% of the design phase. They found that was too late, that things could have moved along a lot faster had they contracted with someone sooner in the process. So this is why they're doing it at the 60% point on this project. The board also authorized execution of an interlocal agreement with WashDOT, and this is for the Bus on Shoulder, or BOS project, which is slated to take place on I-5. This is all in preparation of the major construction work that will be done for the trunnion replacement on the I-5 bridge. There is a Bus on Shoulder program already running on State Highway 14. It runs between the Fisher's Landing Transit Center and 205. The number that was presented last night that I thought was interesting is that travel times have been improved by 30 to 40% on that stretch of highway. The I-5 project will be a little bit different in the sense that the bus lane will be the median shoulder. To me, the shoulder is always what's on the right-hand side of the road, but there is a term median shoulder. In other words, the buses will run on the median. The route will run from the 99th Street interchange and will go straight down to the bridge. There won't be a stop for 78th Street. The target for completion is mid-August because the front-end replacement is scheduled for September 12th to 20th, and C-Tran is shooting for mid-August to have everything in place. It builds in a little bit of extra time there if there should be a delay. And the drivers will be undergoing special training. There will be some restriping also along with this. The I-5 bus on shoulder will stay in place after the front-end replacement is finished, so it'll be a permanent service at that point. And we've also been talking with ODOT, and there's an agreement with ODOT to temporarily run a bus on shoulder program over the Glen Jackson Bridge. That will only be temporary, and that will come off when the bridge project is completed. The board also passed a resolution last night changing meetings. The resolution calls for the chair and vice chair to be able to cancel a meeting if there's not enough subject matter to hold a meeting. If any of the directors objects to the cancellation, then the meeting would continue. The meeting announcement would have to be 7 days in advance. Only exception would be if there's a cancellation due to bad weather, and I think we all understand that. There was a presentation that was made last night regarding the public transit agency safety plan. This was it's a federally mandated safety program that all agencies in the country have to follow. The program requirements, there are 4 basic pillars: policy, risk management, assurance, and promotion. And there will be more information coming in the future. And last topic was coronavirus. C-Tran is working closely with the Clark County Department of Public Health. And at this point, all buses are already being disinfected every night, and every bus is treated with the use of a fogger when it comes in off its last run. So C-Tran is hoping to keep things under control. And that's all I've got tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Stimmel.
No comments tonight, thank you.
All right. Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. The only one I have is the La Center Museum will be holding a Railroad Days exhibit 2 Saturdays from now. I think that's the 21st. They've asked me to bring in my rail car, and I've got 1 or 2 other friends that are going to bring theirs in as well. And then we'll have a railroad telegraph display set up. How they used to run traffic on the railroad before they had the fancy lights. And we didn't have trains run into each other. Anyway, at the museum, it's from noon to 3 on Saturday the 21st. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilmember Strobehn.
It was brought to my attention yesterday at baseball practice for the kids that there's been homeless hanging out in the ball fields and standing in the restrooms and such like that. And I just want to make sure parents are aware of that, and if anybody is listening, really watch your kids going up to the restroom. We don't need any accidents happening or anything like that. So that's pretty much it.
I can move over here and say Councilmember Cerveny. The Clark County Museum is also having a program Saturday, and I've forgotten the hours, but it is about women leaders in Clark County. So there'll be a lot of speakers, and they have invited a couple of outside speakers as well, basically talking about women in leadership. And so it's a good program for youth and kind of learn how they can get involved in their communities and go forth and lead. That's about all I have to report. So it takes us into staff reports.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, citizens of La Center, Chief Denny, La Center Police Department. For the month of February, we were filled with meetings, training, and multiple school-related escorts out of town for the state championships of various nature. including the chess club, which was interesting. The next piece here is about, I'll read it to you because it's lengthy. It's a process to become part of a law enforcement team of investigations. Law enforcement agencies in Clark County counties are recruiting for community representatives for the independent investigative team. With the passage of Washington Initiative 940 in November of 2018 and HB 1064 in 2019, an officer's use of force that results in death, substantial bodily harm, or great bodily harm requires an independent investigation conducted in the same manner as criminal investigation and completely independent of the involved agency. The goal of this requirement is to enhance the accountability and increase trust between law enforcement and the community to improve the legitimacy of policing for an increase in safety for everyone, according to the law enforcement news release. The team will consist of qualified and certified peace officer investigators and at least 2 non-law enforcement community representatives who operate completely independent of any involved agency to conduct investigations of police deadly force incidents. The news release reads, non-law enforcement community representatives will be involved in the vetting, interviewing, and selection of certified law enforcement investigators, among other responsibilities. They must pass a background check, attend training related to officer-involved deadly force incidents, and sign a confidentiality agreement for each investigation. This is a 4-year volunteer position. Representatives must live in either Clark or Skamania counties. To apply, you must submit a letter of interest, no longer than 2 pages, that identify the applicant's strengths and potential challenges in the position, as well as a resume to, and there's that address, to Vancouver, or drop off the materials local law enforcement agencies during the business hours. Applicants' materials are due by March 31st. So, there you have it. So if anyone's interested from the center, you can join the team. What this all involves is if we were involved in a shooting, our agency, major crimes, would come in from other agencies, which is a regional team, and it's independent investigation of our actions or use of force incidents. So there are going to be independent civilian bodies on that team to help in that process, so that it's transparent and out and open for everybody to know what's going on in the investigation. So
This is for every use of force like that?
major, significant use of force events, yeah, not every one of them, but yeah.
What's considered significant?
Well, it's going to have to be a critical event where someone gets substantially injured or hurt. If we're just doing an arm bar on somebody and they, put in handcuffs and that type of thing, no. But if someone gets injured during the course of the use of force, then yes, the independent investigation would be conducted. So let's see. I've attached the latest information from the Washington State Fusion Center to the information we're receiving about the COVID-19 virus and where to go for further information. That's on the next page. But I just want to take this time as the Chief of Police and part of your city's leadership team to thank all of our employees within the city and those that come to work each day and do what is required and go above and beyond to ensure that we are serving the community's needs. As you can see, as a city, regardless of size or structure, the employees are the ones that front the lines of whatever they must face with the expectation, with one's expected to weather the storm and keep everyone's best interest at heart. The employees you have working here at the city are conscientious of their role and are here to serve regardless of position, role, or responsibility, as they are part of your community and have the community's best interest at heart. I want to thank all the employees for what they do every day and doing the right things for the right reasons. The reason I say that is because the COVID-19 virus, obviously, and we all have to be here and face whatever may be coming, plus a slew of other things. Public Works the other day found a weapon on the side of the road while they were doing their cleanup. It could have been found by a kid. So, those types of incidents happen on a regular basis around here, and a lot of people don't even realize what the employees are faced with or what they're doing out there. So I just wanted to share that with everyone and thank everyone for what they do around here. So, and as you can see, there's the Fusion Center information about the COVID-19. Nothing really earth-shattering. Do what you normally do during cold season. Wash your hands a lot. Try to not stay in proximity of large groups. You know, stay away from people when you're talking so you don't get spit on or, you know, that type of thing. So pretty much it's the expectation of what's
Do we
going on.
have these available at the different departments, offices, the sheets?
Oh, but we can.
We should.
And there's more information that comes out every day. We have Crest has stood up a emergency operations regards to this and what's going on in Clark County and who's infected or who has been tested and that type of thing. So Clark County's doing a pretty good job, and we're faring pretty well at this point. So we're in good shape. Next is all of the stats for the month of February. So if anyone has any questions about the stats or what's going on, DUIs and those types of things are consistently on the rise for some reason. You know, other than the premise checks, which that's normal this time of year for house checks and those types of things. A lot of traffic-related incidents, accidents. Homeless is not on the rise in La Center necessarily, but we do have somebody that likes to frequent here that is a resident transient that doesn't have a home, but he likes to use Stonewall Park and other places like that for his bedding down at night. So he's not necessarily dangerous.
Are you and the officers seeing more, you mentioned the DUI, and I was watching a program that was talking about the impact of the legalization of marijuana and the combination of that and drinking and the serious impacts and accidents that are occurring because of it. Are we seeing that here?
Well, yes.
To some extent.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more incidents involving impaired driving, whether it be alcohol or drug induced, and distracted driving as well. But yes, those are the three major things that we see going on. And with larger establishments serving, them living in casinos and those types of things, that poses a problem.
Okay.
The weapon found, had it been reported stolen?
No, it has not. It was not reported stolen. We're trying to trace it down now through ATF to find out where its origin came from, because it was just found on the side of the road with no cause. Officer Langlos was involved in not a pursuit necessarily, but he was chasing a vehicle who may have dumped the weapon. We don't know. But he never caught up to the vehicle.
Through town?
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you.
And then there was another incident with a youngster who actually brought a pellet gun to school and was found on the school bus. Two kids were talking about it and showing each other, and the school bus driver was aware enough to hear what was going on. Took possession of a backpack. He didn't know if it was a pellet gun at the time, but thought it was a real weapon, and held it and then reported it. And it happened to be a pellet gun, so that was going around the school that we had a weapon at school grounds. So just to let you know.
How old?
What's that?
How old was the child?
Fourth grader? Yeah.
Chief, that was mine.
Yes.
Yeah, I share Councilmember Strobeh's concern about the campers out behind the school. And I know there's been some information on social media about it, a lot of concern expressed there. Are you doing it? Are we doing any patrols down in that area? Because I mean, you referenced one individual who apparently has had no problems or presented no problems, but what I was reading on social media is that there may be more than one. I think the number 2 was actually brought up. Do you know anything more about that?
Well, we patrol all the time the parks. The problem is We don't get reports through social media. If people don't pick up the horn and call us and let us know that there's a problem or there's a concern with suspicious persons being in the park, then we don't know about it.
Okay.
So the best effort is to have everybody call in if they think there's a problem that we need to be aware of.
Hey, do we ever go down behind the school, down on the trail, as part of normal patrolling?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That is part of the county, so, but we do patrol the county area down there just because it's so close in proximity as well
Okay.
to our area.
Thank you.
Am I able to ask a question regarding that? So like coaching, we didn't know unless there was a social media thing that went across that there was homeless people using the bathroom. And so just to be cautious about sending your kids to go to the bathroom by themselves. A lot of parents didn't know about that, and so they keep sending their kids. So how can we get the word out to make sure that they're doing a buddy system or parents are going over there? Because it's very easy just to have your kid run over while they're practicing.
Well, I mean, that needs to be put out to the coaches and everybody at staff that, has responsibility over the children, that they should be pairing up and doing that type of thing.
But how would they know?
Should just be a natural, I mean, why would you let your child go to the bathroom by themselves?
It's actually a role if you're down at the park. You're supposed to be with somebody when you use the bathroom. You always check in with the coach.
Yeah, so as a coach, I'm watching kids that are being brought over, they're just saying, run over and run back. Because I can necessarily see them, but that doesn't mean that they're being watched so how does that word get out to the coaches? If the coaches don't know.
Well, it's part of their curriculum that they're supposed to be doing that. Now, whether they need to reinforce that rule or have the word get back out through the system, we can probably help out in that endeavor.
Is this a school coach or Little League?
Little League, and
Okay, that's
at
fine.
the coaches' meetings, it was not discussed about any of that. So just being able to get the word out, I think would be important.
Yeah.
On the board, I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Coach.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, citizens. Matt Jenkins, Public Works Manager. With the March staff report. A lot of it's standard fare, streets and facilities. Under operations, just regular routine maintenance, continual monitoring for any significant hazards in the roadways or potholes that need to be repaired. Staff is also working on procuring trucking route signs for the roundabout for the detour route for longer loads. They're working with Tony Cooper on that, and then on the location and placement. Parks and grounds, Public Works is increasing their mowing frequency as the weather improves. It's just starting to become the growing time of year, and so that's going to pick up quite a bit. Staff is currently looking at making improvements in the informal parking area under the La Center Bridge on the south landing. So as you leave town, you have that pull-out area and then the small road underneath. They're looking at re-graveling underneath. That was a popular spot last year, so we're going to look at what we can do for low-cost, high-impact on that area for the citizens. On the equipment side, staff continues to prep equipment for the upcoming warmer months. Once the warmer months hit, it's going to be very busy, so we try to get most of our services and heavy maintenance done at this time of year. On the personnel side, management's currently preparing to interview, or has interviewed some applicants for the administrative assistant position. That's moving forward. They're also selecting candidates for the Public Works Maintenance 1 and seasonal maintenance position. Those are moving along pretty well. Under projects, the cleaning and treatment of the new City Hall roof has been completed along with the outbuilding. If you didn't see it today when you came in, they got all the debris off of it. They treated it. So going forward, we'll probably treat that every 12 to 18 months and try to keep the debris at a minimum. It looks really nice, though. And then staff has been assisting PD with minor repair work, minor modifications, along with community development, trying to help the chief and the PD make a more usable space over there. And on the wastewater operations side, under operations, the plant parameters still well within permit limits. Both MBRs have been cleaned. They're performing very well for this time of year. So I think we will have cleaned a total of 3 times, which is 1 less than we normally do in a 12-month rotation. So that's looking really well. Staff is preparing for the warmer months and beginning to change over from winter operations, everything from, recharging outdoor plumbing and piping that we normally winterize all the way to how the plant runs itself, because the temperature will make a difference in how we process. Staff has currently completed all the laboratory benchmark assessments for the upcoming lab renewal through Department of Ecology. And then the annual laboratory equipment calibration checks have been completed that we calibrate every day, but once a year we have to have a third party come in, check our calibrations, and document that. That again is part of the laboratory assessment for DOE. And then on the maintenance side, routine preventative maintenance is ongoing. Staff has repaired an electrical issue on the MBR gantry crane. That's the big crane that you see when you drive by, the big A-frame. And then the collection system and lift stations cleaning has been performed. So they've cleaned a number of known hot spots in the buildup in the lift stations. And as we come out of winter, they just want to make sure that there's no roots or anything in some impacted areas within the piping system. And then on the administrative side, the February DMR is in progress. Biosolids notice of intent renewal for the biosolids permit has been submitted to Ecology, so we'll be going through that over the next 12 months, getting a new statewide biosolids discharge permit. But we've submitted the notice of intent so far. The waste load assessment is complete and has been submitted to Ecology. And then the annual biosolids report has been completed and submitted to Ecology. So, any questions?
Did I see that the stormwater drains that were damaged got repaired?
They
I saw some cones around them.
Yeah, they put the lids on, but because of the cold weather, we couldn't put in the grout
couldn't grout 'em
concrete
in.
because of the curing. So we're just waiting for warmer weather.
Okay,
but
cool.
We're working on it.
At least you're working on it.
Yeah,
Great,
absolutely.
thank you.
That roof, Matt, being cleaned and treated, what's an estimated time of life on it?
Actually, they're concrete shingles. So we replaced, I think, 3 total, which is pretty impressive for, I think, the age of roof it is. Theoretically, that roof could be fine for another 30 to 40 years.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Okay. All right, takes us to new business and Breezy Creek.
Thanks, City Council. Tony Cooper, Community Development Department. This is an authorization to engage with the consultant on the Breezy Creek Culvert Replacement 4th Street Widening Project. So just to give you a little background, on June 17th, legislative appropriation of $1.5 million was awarded for this widening project, actually the design of it, and it's regulated through the Department of Commerce. So all the reimbursement is done through them and the regulation of those funds. As part of that, they use around 2% of that for their administration, which is about $30,000. So on December 11th, 2019, an RFQ was advertised in the DJC and one in the Columbian on December 12th. And on January 23rd, we got 4 consultants that submitted proposals for the project. They include PBS, Olson Engineering, Grant Osborne, and HHPR. There were 5 different criteria that were used to evaluate all those proposals, and they include prior experience with similar projects, technical approach, the layout of their proposal, and experience with the city, qualifications of the individuals, and experience with state projects. So the consultants were evaluated by staff, and PBS ranked the highest score. And so there's a summary, which is really just a summary of all the point values of the evaluation. So you can see PBS scored overall, if you sum all of those scores, total scores from each reviewer, they scored the highest, and the average was the highest of those. So the next step is to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with the consultant, and then staff will negotiate the scope and the budget for the project, for the design. There won't really be an impact for budget other than just paying the consultants monthly fees, but the cost will be reimbursed by Department of Commerce on a monthly basis. So we submit reimbursements to them and we get reimbursed for those costs for the invoices. So are there any questions anybody has on?
Were those vendors aware of our budget?
Yes, they were. They were given actually the Department of Commerce grant information since it was public, so they know how much there is in the grant.
Okay.
And so they're aware of the budget. And the negotiation process will include a cost proposal from them along with the scope so that we can evaluate that cost and determine if it's appropriate or not.
Do we have any matching requirement on that 1.5 million?
No, there's no matching requirement. It's just straight
Great.
100% reimbursement, as long as we invoice them, and we have to give a monthly report on what's been done that month as part of that reimbursement.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
What will the likely scope be? Their consultants, the consultants will contract out design and engineering, or are they the design and the
they're the design engineers, and they have sub-consultants that they use to support them. So there's critical areas review of the culvert replacement. There's which includes Fish and Wildlife, Department of Ecology, Army Corps. There would be, just a lot of review that would have to be done environmentally to even propose something. So they're going to go through. So PBS is actually in the proposal. They listed a couple of different approaches. One would be a bridge, and another would be a box culvert. And so, as part of that design, they're going to look at staging the construction to keep traffic moving. So they'll look at that. They'll look at the environmental constraints. They'll do geotechnical investigations. They'll do traffic studies to determine the best option and what's going to work for widening that length of road and then replacing the culvert to meet environmental constraints.
Can you indicate how much time they need?
I think the initial time limit by the Department of Commerce is May of 2021, but I believe it can probably be extended, a little further if we request, if we need more time for the work on that design. Say, for instance, if there's some right-of-way that needs to be obtained during the design phase, they determine there might be some right-of-way that needs to be obtained to widen the project, widen the road. That would be looked at, and that would take longer to go through that process if it's needed. I don't know if it is, but that's a possibility.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we take this route because we can't develop the scope on our own? Normally I would think you'd come up with a scope and then evaluate cost among other criteria. We didn't evaluate cost.
No, you can't.
You can't.
You can't, as far as the proposal. Surveying and consultants, you can't ask for a cost along with that. I believe it's an RCW requirement, state requirement. You can't ask for that. You normally, you look at qualifications of the individuals, you rate them with some criteria, and then you negotiate a cost for them and a scope. Now, if you can't agree on a cost and scope, you can actually go to the next consultant and then negotiate with them.
Oh, okay.
So there's a process you have to go through to do that, and that's kind of the process. You got to look at their qualifications, determine who's most qualified.
Very good. Thank you.
Anything else? No question?
I move to authorize the mayor to execute a contract with PBS as the design consultant for the Breezy Creek Culvert Replacement East 4th Street Widening Project and begin scope and cost subject to negotiation of a fair and reasonable price.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Now, since we have such a huge agenda, are there any other comments that should come before us based on the topics that we discussed from the audience? Okay. We will entertain a motion to adjourn, I guess.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Adios.
Thanks, everyone. Matt?
How are you? I didn't say a voting you, Karen.
Did you see that somebody